Good evening, everyone. I'm Bonai Gypsy from Earthkeepers Connect Goa, your host for this evening, the third day of the pre-summit webinars leading up to the New Earth Summit in November, India's first integrative summit on solutions to our problems in health, food and farming, and environment. I extend a warm thanks from our summit convener, Darryl D'Souza, and the members of our 10 Earthkeeper groups in India and overseas to our esteemed panelists of this evening and express our gratitude to you for taking out time from your busy schedules to be with us and share your experiences and wisdom so that all watching this may live healthier lives. Our topic for today is healing the digestive system. So I'll start with our panelist. Dr.Shikha Agarwal has been the practicing physician and health educator at Healthy Healing Center Goa since 2005. She has successfully treated thousands of patients who have come to her with a great variety of ailments, including serious complicated cases. Dr. Shikha is a member of the Indian Medical Association. In 2006, she passed her postgraduate degree in holistic health, issued by Apollo Hospitals. Since May 2007, Dr. Shikha holds the degree of CMT or Clinical Metal Toxicologist. In June 2019, Dr. Shikha also became a member of the Institute of Functional Medicine. Our next panelist, Abhishek Mukherjee. Abhishek Mukherjee spent 24 years with a variety of applications in pharma and biotech equipment. He has been a product specialist with Swiss-based Infos Bioreactors in the US for nearly a decade, where he worked with bacteria and cell culture applications using fermentation. He's currently an entrepreneur at his own company where he helps clients restore their gut bacteria. He provides test services for microbiome sequencing using NGS methods, later therapy combined with prebiotics and active culture probiotics. Darryl D'Souza. Darryl D'Souza's radical reversal from 14 years of sickness to a state of complete well-being within just 1 year of using integrated natural therapies is a story that has inspired thousands across the globe to lead healthier lives. His book, Become Healthier Extinct, on curing chronic illnesses with integrated natural therapies, finds readership in close to 200 countries. Darryl does disease reversal workshops all across India, and he also served a 5-year term as a secretary of the World United Doctors and Healers Association. He hosts platforms and events for doctors, healers, and therapists to work together and has curated and convened 4 mind, body, and spirit healing conferences. Darryl is also an organic farmer, an environmentalist, a TEDx speaker, founder of Earthkeepers Connect, co-founder of Mani Padma Foundation, convener of the New Earth Summit, and a speaker at the World Parliaments on Spirituality. Our next panelist, Shailender. Shailender is a computer science graduate and left his IT career to join under his Guruji, serving him and got trained in human value system, health and well-being. Later, he did his MD in alternative medicine and has experience in natural health, yoga and meditation. He has also done permaculture and natural farming systems. Shailender is a freelancer, traveling around and spreading awareness through sessions on chemical-free living and medicine-free healing under natural living, which covers growing your own food, what we are meant to eat, traditional cooking, prebiotics and probiotics, the life cycle of the disease and how to reverse it, how to replace all the chemicals in one's life. He is also an advocate on fruit, plant-based diet and dairy alternatives. As a naturalist, he has conducted various awareness sessions in esteemed institutes, colleges, schools, universities, communities, etc. So now we will have 3 rounds of questions for our panel that will conclude in 1 hour so that we can keep the next hour for Q&A with our audience. Accordingly, I request each panelist to address the question in a maximum of 5 minutes. For those in our audience who would like to receive the recorded video of this webinar, please visit earthkeepersconnect.org and subscribe to notifications. So our first question is, why do people need to heal their digestive system? how are they supposed to know it needs healing? I think we can take this to Abhishek.
So essentially, from my experiences working with fermentation, we've worked with bacteria and cell cultures, and over time with new generation sequencing, we've come to understand that we've got our home. Our stomach is basically home to about more than 100 trillion microbes, which are good and bad, both collectively referred to as the gut flora, and which is also the human microbiome. And as we all know, the good microbes help in digestion and absorption of vitamins and minerals. It also helps with metabolic activities, prevents obesity, boosts immune systems, manages our stress levels, also controls everything with our intestinal bowel syndrome. But we also, have the bad microbes that cause severe dysbiosis and may lead to whole host of issues ranging from GI disorders, cardiovascular diseases, arthritis, mental health, obesity, and cancer, and so on. There are many diseases that are currently linked to an imbalanced gut flora. Uh, the research is still being conducted. As far as my application goes, I look at what's going on overall in the entire gastroenterology council in America and in Europe and in many other countries, including Japan, where they have been able to sequence and find out particular microbes that are responsible for certain diseases. So essentially what I do is I sort of look at, where the imbalances after running at the sequencing with individual cases. And then I go ahead and try and uh, bring in back the microbes that have gone down. Ideally, the goal is to find out where the dysbiosis, the alkaline ratios, the acidic ratios, there are different colonies of bacteria that can cause severe problems. So typically what we do is we sort of make a balanced food diet chart for everybody, um, concentrating on prebiotics largely and also looking at what probiotics are going to be needed. And then some of these probiotics are expressed in active cultures instead of giving them capsules and tablets, because from my experiences, from what I understand is the active cultures work much better when we look at restoring the gut flora. And this is out of experience in my working with Dr. Amit Maideo. We joined working together in tandem after he had severe cases in IBS, and it's worked out much better with results actually far more accelerated than using your regular tablets, which may take longer. Also, the efficacy is sometimes a problem. It's very difficult to figure out how much CFU will actually heal a patient. So we start with light doses, we work on the tolerance, and then once the tolerance is built up, we start to introduce the light cultures and probiotics and so forth, so on. That is typically my process in terms of helping my clients and my patients right now. Uh, about it. Hello. So what I want to end it with a note saying that our stomach is definitely a very very important area of area in terms of health. We have to make sure that our digestive tract and everything, as far as the immunity and all of that, comes with balanced microbiome.
All right. Fine. So I think the main question would be like, how do people know that they need healing?
So I have cases that come from severe backgrounds. Essentially, what happens right now, I'm not individually selling my services because I work with doctors. So
Okay.
when we have cases which are typically chronic and don't have cure for a very long time, and the doctor is also struggling with medicines, the target is to go ahead and look at the gut flora. So the illness could be of it could be an origin from any different, it could be a cancer patient who has had severe chemotherapy sessions, or it could be antibiotic overuse, and many areas, so there are chances where these cases are very orphan, and it's very difficult to find out what's going on. So what we do is we run the test, not targeting a particular disease, but many complaints that are of different origin, and they go back and basically heal the gut flora.
All right. All right. Sure. Thank you, Abhishek. So now we'll go to our next speaker, Dr. Agarwal, if you would like to take this forward.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon or good evening. So the question that is for today is, why do we need to heal the gut, and how do you know whether the gut needs healing or not? So We have a very old saying that I like to say very often is that all disease begins in the gut. So when all disease begins in the gut, that means the gut definitely holds a very strong or important position in our body when we are dealing with the health and of the overall body. Now, before I go into how you know how to heal the gut, you need to understand what the gut does for our bodies, so that we know that something is not right with the gut. You know, the gut, we call it gut. This is a long hollow tube which is about 21 feet long, and if you actually lay it open, it has a surface area of about 2 tennis courts, and that's like a really huge surface area. If your gut has such a large surface area, that means it must have such a large impact on our whole system. We know gut, we know digestive tract by the name it says, we know digestive tract is for digestion of food. But that's not it. Digestion of food is one part of the digestive system, the function. There are other functions that digestive system plays a role in. You know, the gut is, I said in my last talk as well, the gut is body's generator and regulator. It not only generates energy by helping us digest and absorb food, it also regulates important functions in our body. Your gut is like a barrier. It is a barrier between the outside and the inside world. The number of foreign antigens, foreign particles your gut, your digestive tract is exposed to in one day is more than what your body is exposed to in one whole year or in a whole lifetime actually. So if you are exposed to so many antigens in one day, your gut has to hold that huge an amount of your defense system as well. So 70% of your immune system is in the gut. Now the gut is exposed to the antigens. It creates a barrier between your outside and the inside world. 70% of your immune system is in the gut. So imagine if there's a leak, if this barrier somehow gets damaged, what will happen? Your immune system is going to go crazy. It's going to go, I mean, in normal words, say bonkers basically. So all kinds of immune problems, all kinds of issues with your health will pop up when your gut health is down. That is why you need to heal the gut. And how do you know your gut health is down? For example, if you have simple health issues, say you have a digestion problem, you eat your food, it feels very full in your stomach, and you keep on burping afterwards. Or you eat your food and you get a headache, you feel like, oh, I'm bloated, and after eating food, I have a headache. Or or simply that you go to toilet too often or too little. These are the digestive issues that tell you. Or you have problems of, the immune problems, colitis, ulcerative colitis, burning in the colon, burning in the gut, bleeding in your bleeding through the rectum. Or let's go even deeper to your systemic issues. For example, if you have rheumatoid arthritis, most of the cases of rheumatoid arthritis, they generate in your digestive tract. Psoriasis, your Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, infertility, insomnia, foggy brain, inability to concentrate, anxiety, depression, psychological disorders have a major factor in gut. I have treated patients with anxiety and depression problems just by treating the gut. I didn't have to do anything. So if you have any of these health issues, anything that's kind of like either it feels your stomach is well, but you have allergies or immune system disorders, or you have neurological problems, brain issues, or if you have directly stomach issues, then you know your gut needs healing. And one thing we need to understand, which I actually really was looking forward to say, is that I have seen two things very commonly in my 15 years of experience. If you have a strong, robust digestive tract, you have vitality in your system. You have ability to fight problems more easily. Overall, your lifespan is longer. But if you have a weak digestive tract, you usually have low energy in your body. The system just does not feel right. You say, oh, I have a weaker system. Then if you have a weaker body, in general, you feel you are delicate, check your digestive tract. That is usually where the delicate system lies. You make your digestive tract robust, accordingly your health will also improve, your vitality.
I think that was quite interesting about the gut related to the psychological well-being. So, Darryl, would you like to take this question, please?
So I would first like to start with symptoms because people are more familiar with symptoms and what they experience, and then relate it to the gut. So one of the simple indicators is of something not these are, so a person may experience foul uh, breath, but generally people don't smell it themselves because they are with it all the time. So it's when somebody else tells you that you got foul breath that you know that okay, I've got foul breath. But foul breath that can be smelled if a person is sitting 2 feet away, and if you can feel this foul breath, that's a real big indicator that the there is disturbance in the gut microflora. So you have wrong strains of bacteria that are in the gut, and from that you're getting this bad foul smell. The second thing is that same person, you look at their tongue, you see the tongue has to be light pink, and you will see these people having a white coated tongue, and some of them will have like small like pink blisters toward the edges, a very jagged dark colored tongue at the side. That's also showing heat in the intestine. Okay, and white coating would be maybe you've got more of a fungal growth in the intestines. So coming to other symptoms that even I had, when I was very sick, skin allergies. Now people think skin allergies is something that's got to do with the outer, sheet of the body, but even things like eczema and psoriasis. For all of my research and people that I've treated, I've seen that these skin allergies, and especially in my case, I didn't have the eczema, psoriasis, but I had like mosquito bites appearing on my body, and it turned out to be that toxicity in the gut from a wrong balance of good and bad bacteria. That means people who have antibiotics repeatedly, which was my case because I used to suffer from amoebic colitis, and for many years I was on antibiotics. So instead of my good bacteria being about 80%, and bad bacteria maybe 15-20%, my good bacteria started coming down to 80 to 70 to 60. And when the good bacteria gets killed, you have the bad bacteria who are stronger and they start growing more and more. So they eat food, but their excreta is toxic. Now that toxicity, uh, your kidneys can only do a certain amount that is designed for, your lungs can do. But then the rest that remains in your blood, it circulates in your bloodstream. It, of course, your sweat comes from your blood, and through that sweat, these toxins come on the skin. So skin allergies are now they are different from food allergies. Food allergies, when you eat something, you see you get a reaction within 5-10 minutes. That's got something to do with the liver dysfunction. Okay, so people having skin allergies, discolored skin, eczema, psoriasis, they are all symptoms that point to a bad gut. Some other indicators, of course, could be too much of flatulence, and flatulence that smells very bad. That is also an indicator of only two things: either you've eaten beans, and if you've not eaten beans or something smelly, then it is pointing to bad gut bacteria. Other symptoms of a bad gut would be um, anemia. Okay, so there's malabsorption of nutrients and iron in the small intestine, so clearly reflecting on the weakness of the small intestine. Then I've also seen people who get ticks and bites and mosquito bites, and they swell up for a long time and they don't go down. That's a histamine reaction, because those neutralizing chemicals are made by your gut, and if they can't flow to your blood soon, then the mosquito bite stays up for a long time. So these are all external, examples which give people an idea that there is something wrong with the digestive system. Of course, acidity, people already know that something is wrong. Once you get loose motions, people know that it's a gut problem. Many people don't know that constipation, that is passing stools once in 2 days, is also pointing to a constipated and dysfunction in the colon. So these are some indicators that will tell people something is wrong with their gut. And for children, it is, I think parents know this already. When children are very hungry and they eat all the time and they never seem to, get full, it's probably because they have worms or something in their stomach that are, taking up their nutrition. So for all of these reasons, that's the reason why people need to look at their gut and find out, what is imbalanced over there.
Thank you, Darryl. So we'll just see if Shailender, would you like to take this question?
Yeah. So basically, our digestive system is very important. We are made up of trillions of microorganisms inside and outside the body, and whatever food we eat has to convert into sapta dhatus, and it will finally turn it into prana. So if that food is not getting assimilated properly, then it cannot do the metabolic process, and it's very important for our cells to get that prana, which is a life force for its sustenance and doing all its activities. And gut is your main region where all the food is getting accumulated, and it is helpful for further process of digestion, metabolism, and assimilation. So we have been eating like unnatural foods all these years. So we need to at least try to reverse our health by eating right food. So following right lifestyle. So we are meant to eat fruits and vegetables, which are like pranic foods, which has life in it. So even if people are still eating cooked food, how to retain the life in it, how to balance the life in the food, that is very important. And yeah, one can understand any disease, any ailment is a detoxification of the body's response at various levels. So one has to spend time in healing their gut. That is very important.
That's great. Thank you. And just this question about, which are the key symptoms for somebody to know that there's a problem with their gut?
Yeah. First thing, basically what happens is indigestion, acidity, constipation, eczema. These all are the symptoms of improper gut. So that is the main indication. And also mood swings. Like if your gut health is not proper, a person will have mood swings. Emotionally also, he'll not be balanced. So those are the indication which everyone oversees and which we have to address.
All right. Great. Thank you, Shailender. So that was an interesting first round. So now the second question which we have is, how do you help your patients, clients cure their digestive illnesses? All right. So Shailender, would you like to start this round?
Yeah, basically what I do is people who come to me, I give them a detox plan for them. So what I do is I just ask them to shift their diet pattern. I don't ask them directly to go into fruit diet. So what I do is I ask them to have some soups or some porridge drinks. Then slowly I'll shift them to fruit and vegetable diet. And then it will be comfortable for them to do the transition. And I do it for 3 days. I also advocate castor oil cleansing for them. And it's a partial cleanse. And also I advocate them a lot of herbal concoctions, which will help them to detox. And definitely one has to connect with nature, sunlight, grounding. These all things I definitely advocate people. That's how I start with. And detoxification will not happen in 3 days. They have to repeat the cycles, and they have to convert into natural cycles. So at least if they follow once in week, then slowly improve their improve their food habits and lifestyle, then it will be helpful for them.
So, I mean, is there any specific kind of cases you would like to talk about?
So basically, people come with candida infections, diabetes, arthritis, BP. Like I don't take any case separately because every disease is connected to the food and lifestyle and the toxins which we accumulate. So whatever problems they come up with, I first address their lifestyle issues and food habits. So even cancer, it can be even cancer. So this will take time. It's not like they will be cured very fast. We have to give time for the healing modality of the body, because it will take time for the body to assimilate this stage of disease. So to reverse it also, we need to give time for the body. And while giving time, we should also take care of what inputs we are putting into the system again. So as an example, if you take diabetes, first of all, what I suggest people is to include fruits, which most of them will be having a concern, like how doctors will avoid people to have fruits, and how come we need to have fruits. So I suggest them, like I educate them, like what are the sugars in the fruit, how to eat the fruit, selecting the fruit, chewing well, mindful eating and all. Then after that, more importantly, what I recommend people is cooking methods, because it's very difficult for a person to switch into natural diet. Definitely he'll be having cooked food. So I recommend to have separate the starch while cooking rice or millet. If they're eating wheat, I recommend them to make sprouted wheat. That's how it can overcome the toxicity. Like complex carbohydrates will be broken down in fermentation of the starches which they separate, and it will be very light for the stomach to digest the complex sugars by the process of fermentation. And even if they're wheat eaters, like bread or wheat, bread or roti eaters, I recommend them to use sprouted wheat, activate the fermentation process in that sprouted flour, and then use that as a starter to make your their regular roti or bread. So they can opt for sourdough methods, but this activated of sprouted wheat for 12 hours is much efficient method, which I have figured out. Uh, Using that as a starter instead of sourdough culture, and then use making chapati, that will basically bring the gluten more it will make the gluten more bioavailable.
Great,
So I
great.
recommend these methods for them initially.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you, Shailender. Now we'll take the question to Mr. Abhishek.
Uh, so essentially, see, I'm a research scientist. I work with fermentation. I understand bacteria and the cell part, and I usually have a nutritionist who works with my doctor, so we are able to formulate the diet pattern and everything. So we work tandem like a team. We involve clinical interventions and we look at, what's wrong with the gut. But our process starts with basically running the DNA sequence first. I mean, the microbiome report is very important so that we actually know what's happening here is very targeted. We want to make sure that the results are also, you know, it's results oriented. The process is absolutely going to work for this guy. So the microbiome screening is very important. We collect, so what we do is we send out a kit which is sent out to our client's home patient. This is like an at-home process. The kit is sent out, the stool sample is collected, then the DNA is extracted, and then we actually do a complete study with what's happening inside the gut. Now, once we have a proper data in terms of the protein sequence and what's going on, we are actually able to find out what foods are causing certain imbalances in your gut flora. Now, it's very important for us to know that, we need the alkaline as well as much as the acidic environment. There's nothing like a good bacteria, and you can't just survive with all the good bacteria. You also need your acidic bacteria. So it's very important that the equilibrium is totally maintained. What we do is, once we run the sequence, we are now able to identify what's happening with different foods and what are causing the problems, and why is the inflammation happening because of certain foods that are being added to a particular individual. And it works very differently for different cases. Every gut is different from one another. So we don't have a targeted method where we say this worked for this guy and it's going to work for the other client as well. So once we have the sequence, we understand what's happening with the food, and we give them an ingredient chart in terms of what they should be using for their first 2 weeks, which is usually the detox process. And during this detox process, we allow the system to detox. Then we add certain cultures which actually help you build your tolerance. So these will be the light probiotics. Supposedly, I mean, in my case, in most of the cases, we start to build the tolerance first with a particular culture, and this will usually be the Saccharomyces boulardii. So we use a particular yeast to first build your tolerance, and then we go from there. Once the gut is ready to now accept the other cultures, we start adding the other cultures. And now the prebiotics are also combined. Prebiotics will come from your foods, all your natural resources and everything else that is actually listed on our reports. So for the next few weeks, we'll combine the probiotics, which will also be slowly introduced, which is through a phase process. Okay, there's nothing like, this guy has to go through 2 weeks and 3 weeks, but depending upon case to case, we'll determine how long this person takes to build that tolerance. Once the tolerance is ready, then we start to introduce the probiotics as well. Now, these probiotics may be customized for every individual. In some cases, we understand, there are issues with skin where we've identified that the Lactobacilli reuteri really works well. So we sort of start with low doses of reuteri, then we increase it, combining with other cultures of Lactobacilli and Bifidostrain bacteria. So there'll be a combination of multiple bacteria which will be added based on, what we have on our report. So it's a technical process where, the whole process may take anywhere from 2 weeks to about three months. Sometimes in some cases, it may take even 6 months, depending upon, how bad the gut is and how many times it has been exposed to overdose of antibiotics, other treatments. Case to case, everything will take either a shorter time or a longer time. But the idea is to build that gut slowly and make sure, the tolerance is also back. So my goal is not exactly, I mean, I know that there are some cases where, these diseases are sometimes very chronic and they'll not basically completely heal altogether. But at the end of the day, we know that we are going to give them a better quality of life by introducing all these cultures. And they definitely see that difference within the first 4 to 6 weeks. But it's a technical way to do it. I work in tandem with my nutritionist and the doctor together. So I handle the manufacturing where all the probiotics are being made. Different cultures are being imported in. We make them go active in foods. And these foods are again sent to our clients from time to time basis. They just add it with their diet. Everything is fermented foods. That's pretty much the way how my process is structured for every case to case.
All right. Thank you, Abhishek. So a few questions which have come in this line only is how to make the gut robust and any simple measures to make the gut robust. So we'll take this question to Dr. Shikha.
Me to take the question directly, or should I first answer how one should heal?
Yeah. The whole idea is to answer this. I just said because this was one of the questions which fall in line with our questioning.
So, as I said, gut is a big organ. So it needs patience, it needs time, it needs de-stressing, it needs a lot of things in order to get robust, in order to heal. So the way I work with my clients, the way I work with people and how I approach gut health is first and foremost, I understand a person's needs, what actually is causing the problem. You find out where in the gut could there be a problem. So that is usually done, you talk in detail. And then there's a particular principle that I follow. That is actually what all medicines follow. And it's called, in functional medicine, it's called a 5R principle. And this principle is, first R is remove. Second R is replace. Third is you inoculate. Fourth is you, you repair. And fifth is rebalance, which is like de-stressing. So when we talk about these 5 R's, the first R, which is remove, that is one of the most important and the beginning step in making your gut health robust, as we say. So what do you remove? We have several things to remove. We are talking about, of course, one of the very important factors to remove is the change in the diet, which in the present day has become so important. We really literally can't go on eating the kind of food which is being offered to us on the shelves of the supermarket. We need to educate ourselves. Education is the first important step in removing, first thing. So you need to remove junk food. You need to remove processed foods. You need to remove foods that actually your body reacts to right now. And how do you do that? You do that by starting to listen to your body. So that's the first step. You start listening to what your body is reacting to. So that's how I start. I start my patients with, I remove certain most common items that the body reacts to, which includes wheat, which includes dairy, which includes animal products, most of the animal products, which includes fried, refined oils, sugary, white stuff, maida stuff. So these are the basic steps which you start with, you remove. Second thing you need to remove is the bad bugs in your gut, which include parasites, bad bacteria. So you clean up the gut lining. You start scrubbing the gut lining. So I use kind of a digestive cleanse that helps to scrub the gut lining while you remove certain foods. So that's the first step. Second is you replace. So you have been removing, but removing is not enough. Most people start with fasting and they do a 3-day fast, 5-day fast. They are doing fasting. So in fasting, you remove. But what have you done to replace? It's very important that after removal, we replace. The body is not going to replace the good bacteria on its own. We will have to think about it, how to replace good bacteria. So one of the very good ways to replace good bacteria is to eat fresh food, fresh vegetables coming directly out of the earth, which have not been kept in the storage in the freezer, which have not been processed. That's one way to replace. The other thing is, of course, you have to replace sometimes, actually most of the times that people come to me and have digestive issues, they have very little of the digestive enzymes in them. They don't produce enough stomach acid. We always talk about stomach acid being a nuisance. We have too much stomach acid is all we know. What we don't know is we have 90% of the times too little stomach acid. So we have to replace digestive juices. We have to replace the stomach juices, the juices from the pancreas, the juices from the liver. So that's the second step in healing a gut lining. If you have good amount of juices, you will make sure your stomach stays clean as possible. The bad bacteria, parasites are not able to grow. You're digesting and absorbing your food better. The food just goes down. You eat your food. Actually, the food gives you energy instead of making you sleepy and weak. If after your lunch you feel sleepy, know that you're reacting to the food you are eating. The food should always make you energetic. I have experienced it myself when there was a time when I was eating, I loved milk. I loved milk all my life. I was like a milk junkie, you can call me. And I was a junkie for white sugar and sweets. I used to carry a packet of eclairs in my bag all the time. So eventually at the age of 25, I had it. My body has had it. So I had to give up everything. So, but by that time I had not realized that after lunch, I wanted to sleep. I would always drag myself. And nowadays, when I eat lunch, I am active. I'm fully active. I want to go out and work. And I don't understand how can people want to sleep after lunch. So that's one very important factor that tells us that we lack digestive juices. We are reacting to certain things we need to remove. So removal, replacement. Third is re-inoculate. Here once again, replacement and re-inoculate. Re-inoculate is what Mr. Abhishek is talking about. Is you need to find out which microbiome is imbalanced. Then you need to repair that. And sometimes it can be done through fermented foods. And sometimes you actually need live cultures that have to be put inside one way or the other, depending upon what state of health you are in. Then the fourth is repair. Now, this is one thing that I have noticed that most people forget about, including me when I do the cleanse on myself. I will start removing stuff, I will start replacing good stuff, but I will not repair. Repair is a major work in the gut. You want to heal your gut, you have to repair the lining. The barrier that I was talking about, that there is a barrier, there is an intestinal lining between your outside and inside world, and it gets holes. Because of the stress, because of the diet, because of smoking habits, because of emotions, trauma, accidents. You have a head injury. You will see after head injury, sometimes your gut goes out of balance. It's because a head injury is directly causing a break in your barrier system of the gut. So you need to repair that. That's very important. And that's one of the major functions. That's one of the major things that I do in my clinic. Through different therapies, through certain supplements sometimes, through certain herbs, and through food. Through good food, good nutrition, you need to repair the gut lining. And the fifth factor actually is something that I totally stress, and if my patients are not willing to follow, I tell them go. And that is rebalance. And that rebalance means de-stress, meditate, because your gut is not going to heal if you're in constant stress. Your immune system is going to go down. A body's immune system works in a calm, relaxed parasympathetic system. If you are in a sympathetic mode, if you're in a fight and flight mode all the time, the body is in emergency state. The gut is the first organ it shuts down in emergencies because digestion is the last thing it wants when you are in stress.
All right, all right.
You
We'll
need
have to
your
move.
energy, you need your energy for your heart because if you may need to run away, you need the energy in adrenal glands because you need to produce the cortisol. You need your energy in the brain so that you may stay alert. Why would your gut need energy? You don't need to digest food when you are in a state of stress. So that's basically it. So you need to follow these steps. If you follow these steps very sincerely, you do get a robust gut.
All right, thank you. Now we'll move on to Darryl, if you'd like to take this.
Yes. So what I have been doing for my clients since so many years is to address all of these digestive issues. First, I look at what I have a TEDx talk on that. Many people would have seen it. It is, of course, the title is how I reverse aged and cured my illnesses, but the real title is what is food for human beings. So, so the first line of action of treatment that I look at is, what are the wrong things that we are putting inside the human body. So my TEDx talk was mostly about that. And from that experiment, which is an experiment anybody can do, people get a hierarchy of food, which kind of shows that fruits are one of our primary foods, and after that vegetables, nuts, beans, peas, grains, and all of that. And somehow from our own natural choices, we don't tend towards eating meat. So that was there in my TEDx talk, and many people got an impression that I'm talking about only eating raw food. But that is not the case for those people who have seen, who have read my book and see that I recommend a balance of raw and a little bit of cooked food also. And that depends on a person's constitution. Okay, and for constitution, I look at Ayurveda, which is a very ancient science. And it says, there are 5 elements in the body that you need to balance. And I've seen that for people who go on a very, high raw diet, the vayu or the air content in their body goes really high. And so then they experience weight loss, hair fall, dry skin. So those are the symptoms that people have to understand that you're doing too much of raw and you need to get a little bit of cooked food also into your dietary balance. But the main topic there was to have natural food, organic if preferable, try to eat in season, and not unprocessed food. Okay, anything that comes in these tetra packs and processed foods, they have got a lot of chemicals in it. So that's what people don't get nowadays. Most of the city-based people are just walking into malls and going to the food section. Aside from that small alley that's got the fresh vegetables and fruits and grains, all of the rest of the packaged food products, they're not actually healthy at all. So that's the first thing I tell people who want to have a better digestion, that you stop having man manufactured foods and try to have natural foods. Secondly, in the intake cycle itself, if you have a weak gut, then you have to look out for foods that you have to prevent putting foods into your digestive tract that are inflammatory in nature. So I had to go there. I saw amazing relief when I was having my amoebic colitis and all of that. When I stopped putting green chilies, red chilies, too much of pepper, too much of vinegar in my food, then my gut started healing because people don't understand that many people know high acid burns, but most people don't know that even highly alkaline also burns and causes gut inflammation. So the thing is for people with weak intestines, to till your intestine cools down and heals with various protocols that even our panelists have spoken about, till that time I would advise people to not have spicy food. So that's regarding what's going inside. Now, the second thing is to heal your gut. I also look at uh, you know healing herbs. So herbs are also something that can really heal your gut. There are different herbs for different conditions. Then I also, very much in line with what Dr. Shikha has spoken about her protocol, I also look at cleansing the body. So there's a chapter in my book. My book is Become Healthy or Extinct, and there's a chapter in it called Cleanse Therapy. So that what it does is all the junk, all the processed food that you've eaten, early in your life, and some of it, this is molecular biology. Uh, Certain cells they vibrate and get stuck to certain other cells in our body. So you'll have certain things gravitating more towards your liver and getting stuck there. Some things will get stuck in your kidney, some will get stuck in your intestine, some will get stuck in your colon. So the cleanse therapy chapter is that, and the cleansing is to take out the earlier junk that you have, clogged within these organs. Because then once that comes out, your organ function goes up, kidney function goes up, then blood purification goes up, the liver function will go up, then your skin color will get better, and you'll have more energy. So, so cleansing is an important part, and then I also use, as part of integrated natural therapy, acupressure for diagnosis and healing. And this is what I teach in my, book and in my workshops as well. And now because of the lockdown, I have an online workshop that is 12 hours, since I could not do any workshops since April. So acupressure is an important part of my integrated protocol, because just by pressing points in the body, for example, here you have, the liver, and here, if you have acidity in your stomach, you can press this point and figure out that there is some inflammation in your stomach. So each organ can be checked for weakness, and through acupressure points on the hands or even on the feet or on the body, healing can happen for those organs. So then I also look at what I call the 5 elements therapy, which is basically earth, water, fire, air, space. And, an organ is made of a certain balance of all of this. So we know that our bones are made more of, they have more of earth element. And we already know that our blood and our lymphatic fluids, they are made more of water. But they also have fire, air, and space, which are very less. So I follow the philosophy of in earlier times, human beings, when we used to live in natural spaces, we had more of the natural elements coming to us. So the earth element would come, by walking bare feet on the ground. We would get a lot of fire element from the sun. We would get a lot of air element from pure oxygen, higher levels of oxygen than what we get now in our cities. And of course, space is that element that when you go in an open space or on top of a hill, your aura expands as compared to sitting in an office, uh, you know, uh, close to each other. You don't feel an expansion of energy. So that is also an important part of me teaching, when I teach people how to balance their body and their elements. So we need the outdoors, we need a little bit of fun, we need exercise in the form of mobility, going around, doing interesting things, walking up and down, bending around, and even probably, cleaning your house once in a while. So all of these bending positions, they do have an impact on the muscles of your intestines, and give your entire digestive system some strength. So as I go and I treat clients, I look at particular cases and their vulnerabilities, and I tailor make this process for them. And in it, of course, is what is very important, which the panelists have spoken about, is your supplementing uh, your gut with good probiotics. I agree with what the Dr. Shikha said, that try to have fresh and raw foods. Of course, you can get it from the garden. Just wash it nicely. Don't if you when you start scraping it, you take off most of the healthy bacteria.
Sure.
So since we pass out bacteria through our stools every day, we need to have some amount of daily raw food to go into our bodies. And for some people with high inflammation in intestines and IBS, the raw food, a lot of raw food with a lot of fiber, becomes an irritant. So for them, they should slowly understand that some part of their vegetables, they should cook, and that will give them generally more easier and cooler digestion.
All right. All right. Thank you, Darryl. So now to our last question to all our panelists is, how can our viewers access your work, products, and services? So moving forward, Dr. Shikha, would you like to take this question?
I have a clinic. It is in Sangolda, which is in North Goa.
Okay.
And you could come to my clinic and visit me there. And then I normally also consult people online these days because of this coronavirus thing. There's a lot of people who are not able to travel. So they can contact me through email or through my phone number. And you fix up an appointment and I have you fill up a couple of consultation or detailed medical questionnaire forms. And then we go about it with that. And these are the two ways. You can reach me through email, through my phone, or you can come to my clinic and visit me directly.
Sure. So, Shailender, are you with us?
Yes.
Yes.
So, yeah, basically I travel around, I do conduct workshops. I do conduct some cooking sessions also. So basically I have experimented a lot on fermentation. I teach people how to make their fermented stuff. Apart from that, I also take consultations over phone, and I help them to like with the documents or procedures how to make their ferments, and also lifestyle changes and food habits. So they can reach me on my email, or I have a Telegram group where I help people for making the fermented stuff and eating methods.
All right. Abhishek?
Essentially, I work with many doctors and dietitians here in Bombay. And currently my work, I do have patients as far as Azamgarh and Varanasi also. And currently the way we are structured is everything is very virtual. We connect with clients on phone and I go through discussions, get a history of what's going on with them. And the kit is usually sent home. It's sent through Blue Dart and they have to give us their stool sample and we take it from there. And then we do a broadlined complete data analytics on what's going on inside the microbiome. We give them their food chart and we tell them what they have to do when we start with their detox process all through. Sometimes it will last from 2 to, like I mentioned before, it may just last from anywhere from 3 to 10 months. But we provide all the information which is pretty much sent out at home. And for clients who are interested, we send out all the probiotics and active cultures in ice boxes for their entire month's quota. And we tell them what they are supposed to do, how they are supposed to consume and work with us because essentially from what I know is this is not something that's going to need for us to meet, but it's going to need for us to talk every day. The client has to report and tell me what's going on with each with individual foods, what they're eating. We make them write down what's going on with what food, what is causing problem, and the entire data sheet is maintained based on what's going on. So it's all at-home service. My website is available. My phone number is also there on the web, and I take it from there.
All right. Would you be able to put it on the group?
Yep, I will do that.
On the chat, yes. All right, Darryl?
Yes, so it's been almost a year now that I stopped doing, private consultations, which I had started doing in 2005. So it's been about 15 years. And only now, because my work has expanded a little more into, doing events like this and setting up platforms. And also I'm spending more time in organic farming and in environment and human development and human service projects too. But there is a very, uh, open route for people to access what I have taught. And so the first thing is my book. It's a free download on my website, becomehealthyorextinct.com. That's the place to go. And then that's generally what I advise people, get the book, read it, get all the basic principles inside. Many people have healed their conditions just by, reading the book and implementing things that are in it. Those, of course, are the simpler cases, just a little bit of, acidity or a little bit of, borderline diabetes, borderline obesity to lose weight and all that anybody can do from the book. But of course, we are talking about, when you talk about digestive disorders, we're talking about serious cases. So even for them, I say, read the book first, and after that, maybe they can do my online workshop, which is a 12-hour intensive workshop. I'm there live doing videos, presentations, and teaching all of these details in a very compact form, so people can do that. Um, I think after the New Earth Summit is over, after 15th of November, maybe by end November, I'll start opening up again for consultations. Hopefully, the lockdown becomes a little more relaxed, and I can reopen my center in Goa, the Rejuvenation Center in Kalangut. But for now, I just operate out of my own home. Yeah. So people can access that website, and those of you who are interested in vegan recipes or what I do in organic farming, please go to my main website, darryldesouza.com, and you'll get all the links there, all the links to our earthkeeper groups, our farming groups, our vegan groups, and yeah, that's the.
Great, thank you. So in the questions, we're good on time actually. So the first one is by Manish Shah. Recurrence of blisters on the tongue, a sign of bad gut. Also whitish tongue that Darryl alluded to, applicable for children as well. If you'd like to take that.
I mentioned that already. Yes, it's um, an imbalanced gut microflora and maybe more of yeast in the digestive system when you get a white coating on the tongue and you have to scrape it every day. Okay, and blisters on the tongue would indicate heat inside the digestive tract. Now, heat, so that's a word that people will not understand easily, but heat is relating to either inflammation in the gut, okay, from too much of spicy food, or weak liver function. You see, liver. So the first part of the digestion is when your food comes, it gets into the stomach, and that's where the acidic breakdown of food happens because hydrochloric acid is produced there, and of course other digestive enzymes too. But that's the breakdown of protein happens over there in the gut with acid. And then after that, it goes to the duodenum, where there's the alkaline part of digestion. So the liver is with bile and other digestive enzymes. Mainly bile, it's supposed to cool down the food, okay, and bring it from acidic to neutral, so that pancreatic alkaline enzymes can do the alkaline part of breaking down of fats and all of that. So anybody with a weak liver, okay, is going to their food is not going to be cooled down. They're going to have heat and acidity in the small intestine. So that is one of the main causes that I've seen where people have mild inflammation, you see, in the intestines. And you do, whether you do an endoscopy or you do a colonoscopy, the medical doctors always say, oh, mild inflammation doesn't mean anything. No, mild inflammation does mean you're on a journey to sickness. Okay, so I would say that internal heat could come from spicy food, from a weak liver, from having too much of packaged food products, because you have a lot of free radicals inside them, and free radicals are imbalanced molecules. You see, when they're in a Tetra Pak or a tin, they're all balanced. But when you open it, I call it, it's a compacted atomic warfare that's controlled. But when you open the tin and you put it in your body, all of these molecules, they pick up electrons from your throat, from your stomach, from your intestine lining, and they bring in inflammation. So too much of packaged food products, so knock out of all those processed food products. Too much of fried food also causes intestinal inflammation. So all these things, once you start correcting them, and packaged food products out, the least amount of oil in food, reduce your spicy foods, and then you'll see that the gut is cooling down, and that's when blisters can also come down. And I would like to pass the question straight on to Dr. Shikha, because she would have more to say about certain infections or bacteria that could come up through the mouth. Dr. Shikha?
Well, it is actually, I have seen that there are people who have blisters or ulcers on the tongue that doesn't seem to go away. And in those cases, it is definitely, taking care of the parasites in the gut, fungal infection, and the treating the gut bacteria is the final cure for the problem. And in the meantime, because of these bacterial ulcers, actually, as you said, it's the heat and the inflammation. What it also does is it decreases the vitamin B in the system. So that B complex, when the B complex goes down, the ulcers and blisters also don't heal properly. So for symptom management, for the short term, people could take B complex or they could get B injections to heal somewhat while making the permanent cure as healing the gut lining.
All right, all right.
And oil pulling really works. If you have a problem where the gut is where the bacterial growth or something, the foul odor or the poisons or the gases from the gut are coming up and creating trouble in your mouth, oil pulling really helps to open up the lymphatic system of the whole area, the throat, the tonsils and neck and tongue and the gums and jaw. And it also really greatly helps in healing the gut lining and actually healing your mouth of any problem.
Doctor, there's a question right now. Which is the best oil for oil pulling?
Coconut oil. I would say coconut oil. Living in Goa, best is the coconut oil. The
Okay.
second best is sesame oil if you can take it. These are the two oils.
Can I add to that?
Sure.
So typically from looking at my past reports with, inflammatory guts where you have blisters and white deposit on your tongue, chances are this patient may be low on thermophilic bacteria strain, which is also the Streptococcus thermophilus, which lines in the inner wall, in the small intestine, in the epithelial wall. So if that tends to go down, automatically the temperature conditions definitely start to fluctuate, and that is the reason where you'll have more heat in your stomach constitution that will result to certain problems. Now, this also means that not only has the thermophilic bacteria gone down, but it's also affecting your other lactobacilli and other bifido-strain bacteria, and this will all result to high amounts of proteobacteria, which will cause similar problems like we have one that is asked in the question. So I just wanted to add to that.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
So I would like to add one more point here.
Sure.
So even the stress is causing a lot of problem. Stress, overdoing the things, not sleeping properly, exposing to more of gadgets. Even these things are causing a lot of blisters nowadays in heat. So one way is, managing these things with oil pulling and other things, taking care of gut. One more important thing I would like to add is hibiscus leaf is also helping a lot to set these blisters in the mouth. So I have recommended lot of to lot of my people hibiscus leaf. You have to chew and you have to rotate that mucilaginous liquid inside the mouth. That is also helping a lot. And foxtail millet decoction, like sprouted foxtail millet decoction, will add on to be folic acid. So that is also helping a lot.
So the next question was again on this was I want to know more about sprouted wheat and its process. Shailender, if you would like to take that.
Yeah, so sprouting, as I was mentioning, like we are meant to eat fruits and vegetables, but we have adopted to grains since ages. Traditionally, our people were following the cooking method, soaking, sprouting, and fermenting. So basically, when we do this soaking and sprouting, we can reduce the phytic acids or anti-nutrients which are there in the grain. So sprouting is a challenging with wheat. Unlike other grains, you can sprout easily other grains, but wheat needs a aerated space. You can't tightly pack the wheat and sprout them. So you need to, whenever you take a container, see that after soaking, remove the water, rinse it well, and then keep it shake it and keep it loose, drain completely all the water and cover a moist cloth. So if you can maintain this method, or just spread the wheat berries on the container on a colander, keep water underneath so that it will not touch also, and cover a moist cloth. This is a small technique which people can follow in sprouting the wheat. And they can store it by shade drying and sun dry, always covered with a cloth to retain the nutrient values. That is very important. if you're not taking care, if dampness is there, mold growth and fungal growth will be easily formed in wheat sprouts. So one has to take care of not keeping any dampness while drying, or while like either it is sun dry, and even they have to shade like shade dry and then sun dry properly. So this sprouted wheat flour will have better shelf life than your regular wheat flour. What we have observed is, I do like experiments, like I ask people to just add few drops of water in that sprouted wheat flour in one hand, and regular wheat flour, little water in other hand. They can find the life, like they can feel the life in that sprouted wheat flour. So that's what like it will have the life, but still we will cook. So we will be reducing the life after cooking, but still to retain the life in it till you are cooking, that would be better. And yeah, activate the sprouted wheat flour overnight, then mix that one portion of your activated sprouted wheat flour in your regular flour, and just allow to ferment for 3 hours. Don't ferment for long time after adding sprouted wheat flour, activated sprouted wheat paste. Then it will not turn sour also. People are also liking that taste, and it is also making the gluten bioavailable. So this is what I suggest with sprouted wheats.
All right. Thank you, Shailender. The next question is to Darryl. If we stop man-made foods, protein drinks, how do you balance macro-micro nutrition?
One of the biggest problems people are facing is trying to understand nutrition from a laboratory. You see, because from what I've researched, the complete understanding is not yet, there of all the nutrient components and their analysis. People are still trying to uh, classify foods in certain ways. I see it's a very faulty system. Like, something that has got fat, if the major portion is fat, then they'll classify it as a fat. Even if there is some fiber and some, other components in it, it still doesn't get noticed. So from that premise, that's why people say, this micronutrients, macronutrients, and all of these different aspects that you're trying to uh, figure out nutrition through a mathematical model almost. And now, instead of that, if you will read my book or any of my workshops, what I will talk about is always uh, getting a whole range of food products in your meals at a regular time. That doesn't mean making your every plate a very complex meal to have. Okay, say if we need A to Z in the course of our life as micro and macronutrients, then I follow the principle of rotation. So for breakfast, you can have certain thing that's called A and B. That's a simple, meal by itself. You don't need to put in A, B, C, D. If your nutritionist asks you, are you doing all of these things in a day? So you can do A and B for breakfast. You can do C, D, E for lunch. You could do F for F and G for your tea time, and H, I, J for dinner. And you don't even need to keep it so strict. This whole rotation, if you do over 1, 2, or 3 days, even that is good enough. So just see that you are having your regular intake of fruits, vegetables, nuts, beans, peas, roots, grains, seeds, leafy vegetables, and then what you have to look at is the nature of that food. And like I mentioned earlier, what is your five elements balance within your body? If you are losing a lot of weight because you are doing certain exercises or hard work, that indicates that you should be having things that are having more protein. Okay. And if you are eating too much of protein and you are not exercising, you are going to be putting on weight. So there is a way, and that's the way that I teach at what I call the macrocosmic level. Below that is a microcosmic level, which I can see that the complete science is not even there. And I think it's going to take another 100 years for human beings to understand, the micro science still. So I work mostly, I read a lot of research at the microscience level, and I match it with the macro science level, where it becomes more easier for people to figure out food. So read through my book, you will get all these principles of how much is too less, how much is too much, and why you need to rotate foods. And depending on what your lifestyle and what you in the kind of health and vitality and energy that you want in your body, you start uh, bringing in those proportions of food. So fruits will give you a lot of high, chi energy, a lot of creativity, um, and a lot of artistic abilities. So, so look at it in that way. We need natural, uh, sugars, and have been recommending to my clients, and since maybe now since 2005, I have never taken even a spoon of sugar in anything that I've eaten, because I believe that all sugar should come naturally from fruits, um, and of course corn also has got sugar and many others. So look at a good range of food. Look at what is seasonal in your area. Look at whether you are having enough energy, losing weight or putting on weight, and start, adjusting your foods like that. On page 149 of my book, there's a very balanced diet that people have used to reverse a wide range of illnesses. Okay, whether it's high BP, cholesterol, diabetes, obesity, hormonal imbalance, kidney, liver problems. So that kind of a balanced diet has really worked for most people. In some specific cases, yes, they need to take note of their special conditions and work on them accordingly with the help of a nutritionist or whoever is qualified to do it.
Sure, that's great. So the next question is, how can pyloric stomach ulcer be holistically handled by Nita Way? Anyone
H.
who would like?
pylori.
Pyloric ulcer or duodenal ulcer, it's basically not much difference. The question is how to heal a pyloric ulcer, is it?
How to holistically, one was the question, yes. How can pyloric stomach ulcer be holistically handled?
Okay, so one thing we need to understand why in first place you get the ulcer. So if you understand why you get the ulcer, you can heal the ulcer more holistically. So ulcer is when the lining of the gut lining gets eroded, and the mucosal, the barrier, that the mucus that protects your stomach lining from the acid that goes into the stomach. So that is gone. So then the acid starts to eat up into the gut lining and you develop an ulcer, right? So that means there is a chance that you have an excess acid production in your body. So you need to deal with excess acid production. Somewhere there is also bacteria, which Abhishek has been talking, like said, H. pylori, which is responsible, because if there's a bacterial overgrowth, it leads to an ulcer formation. But usually H. pylori is not the primary cause. It is something that comes into the stomach when the stomach is weak. So if you want to heal your ulcer, one thing you need to do is you need to once again cut out on certain foods that decrease the immunity of your gut, or increase the white cells in your gut lining, which will inflame it and will eventually lead to its erosion. So first thing you have to do is you have to find out which foods you are sensitive to, which foods you're allergic to. You can start with an elimination diet on your own. You can go to a lab and get a test done. So like you need to definitely, I think in almost in 100% cases, you will have to cut out on wheat. You will have to cut out on refined foods, and you will have to cut out on carbs. You will need to make sure that your diet, if the carbs should be the complex carbs, they should be whole grains instead of maida. There should be no white sugar stuff in your diet. These are very important. The first step in healing an ulcer is to make sure that you cut out foods like allergy causing foods. The second step is in an ulcer will increase if your portion of the food is big. Your body needs to produce too much acid to digest that amount of food. So your portion of the food has to be small. You cannot eat too much food, and so the food should be enough so that you feel about 60 or 70% full. And once you're 70% full, stop there. Third thing you can do is you can start taking something fermented with your food. For example, there is a thing called Rijibulac, where you ferment certain wheat grains and bring out the water on top. In North India, we call it kanji, basically. So
Right.
you start drinking a fermented drink with your meals, and maybe take a digestive enzyme if you are into supplements. So when you start doing that, you make sure the food doesn't stay in the gut for long. It goes down quickly. So the exposure to acid goes down. and that decreases the pain from acid production. So these are the few steps that you can follow at home. Then you make sure you don't eat very late at night, and when you sleep, you make sure your head is up so that there is not too much acid reflux happening. And alkalize. You need to alkalize your body. If your body starts to get alkaline, automatically the inflammation and everything starts to balance. So a fruit and a vegetable diet is very important for that.
Thank you, Doctor.
I would like to add there,
Sure.
Shikha, you were right on the food part and all that, which is totally correct. But I've also realized with some of my cases where there is high H. pylori infection, we've had very good results by just adding one kombucha. I don't know if the client is aware of kombucha. Whoever is asking this question, you should find out if you get some good kombucha suppliers in your locality and start drinking a bottle every day. Kombucha is known to kill H. pylori on contact. If you have excessive H. pylori, it will start to control slowly. Of course, the diet is very, very important. It's complementary to your total healing. So that is going to help, but start adding kombucha to your diet. That will definitely help, and you'll start to see the difference within a week.
All right. Thank you. It's very interesting. So next question is how to test IBS. Any tests available?
So we've been doing a lot of IBS case studies. Most of my patients are IBS chronic patients who've been basically running from doctor to doctor. The process is pretty long here, because it's something that has happened over a long time, the deterioration in terms of your gut flora. So it takes a little while to heal, but the idea is to first find out what foods are causing the problem. In my case, I definitely would recommend the microbiome study, which gives me a clear picture of what's happening in the stomach constitution, with what bacteria have gone down. And then we take it from there. But I've seen in most of my cases, they've gone through remission. 23 years of constipation completely gone. The guys in Varanasi, we've been working on, this is from Dr. Amit Maideo. He's one of the biggest GI Padma Shris here in Bombay. This case was taking too long, and this guy used to eventually pass blood in his stool because the ulcers became so high that there was no way to control it. The only way to control it was using fermented foods, finding out what food is causing the problem. It has taken us about 4 to 5 months, but the patient has gone into remission with absolutely no blood in the stool anymore, back to his healthy life where he's a school teacher and is working well. It takes a little while, but food is going to be an important protocol here to be looked upon, along with all the probiotics that are needed for the gut, because usually in IBS cases, your gut is completely destroyed with all the drug that has been put in for a long time.
All right.
I would like to add a point for IBS. For my patients, what I have recommended is it will be difficult for them to go into fruit and vegetable diet initially because they are used to having grains. So what I do is, instead of having fiber foods like millets or something which will actually aggravate the IBS, so what I recommend them is to have only the liquid portion of it, only sprouted millets. Just have a decoction of it, not having fibers, or extract the milk and separate the fibers and then cook that milk and then consume it. So that is helping to add on the B vitamins, or else they can't get B vitamins from the grains if they are not eating, if they are eating refined grains. So this is one additional thing which I have observed. Apart from that, fermenting, separating the fibers and fermenting that is also helping a lot.
All right. All right. Thank you, Shailender. One question came about the discussion about after lunch. So we were told that after lunch we feel sleepy because more blood rushes to the stomach than the brain. So this is not true by Sindhu Manoj. I believe this is to Dr.
True.
Yes. Okay.
Absolutely true that the more blood rushes into the gut, but it doesn't happen only after lunch. It happens after breakfast, after lunch, after dinner, every time, not just lunch. My example that you feel sleepy after lunch, it's related to the fact there's two kinds of sleepiness after lunch. One is you just can't stay up and you feel like my energy is gone, I must lie down. The other is you have a habit, you want to go sleep because you feel like, okay, I need to rest and relax. So there's two kinds of sleepiness after meal. You need to kind of be able to differentiate between the two. That's all.
All right. Thank you. So
one point I would like to add here, people who are actually separating the starches while cooking the rice, especially millets or rice, because we have separated the complex carbohydrates which we ferment and consume later. But if one can separate the starches and then consume that meal, that would be much better. And at the same time, removing the saponins from the lentils. So
Okay.
this will cause more complex in the digestion process. So this is one way to help overcoming the sleepiness after eating the food.
All right.
So I would like to add to that about sleepiness after eating food. So now we've seen, even, what I say is that we hardly look at living sciences, and we just look at sciences that are in laboratories, and that's where we've gone wrong so much. So if you look at living sciences, look at, National Geographic, when you see these, the tiger, the lion, making a hunt, and they don't get food so often. So when they kill, they are going to eat a full stomach. You see, so when they eat a full stomach, you've always seen them in half an hour, 45 minutes, they're dozing. Okay, so the bottom line is a very full stomach has a lot of food in it. So there's a lot of blood going to the maximum amount of blood capacity will go to the stomach, and that much blood is, minus for the brain. Now, this I've explained in my book with the hierarchy of the entire human body. Okay. So why that happens, but this is very simple, you can see it. So now I would like to reflect on what Dr. Shikha is saying, and as a principle, we know whether it's lunch or dinner, we should not eat so much that our stomach is really full and coming up over here. So an indicator would be that if you have eaten a meal and not stuffed yourself, okay, and at that time you're feeling sleepy, then it's certainly the case what Dr. Shikha has spoken about. You've eaten, 80% of your capacity and you're feeling nice and light. My meal is mediocre. But after that, if you're feeling sleepy, then yes, that's what I think Dr. Shikha is referring to. You definitely have some processes not going on, correctly in your body.
One question from regarding deep cuts on center of tongue since birth. How to cure? Anyone who would like to take this?
Deep cuts.
Deep cuts center of tongue since birth. How to cure? It's an anonymous.
If it is since birth, then it is like it's a geographic tongue. It's very different from cuts and ulcers that you get over the years because you follow a bad diet. That's what I say. Maybe Darryl can reflect more on it.
Right.
And the only reply that I would have is that, yeah, center of the tongue means the central part of the digestive system when very close to the navel. Okay. So maybe there could be a naval misalignment, which is causing a bit of, it always will translate to heat, heat in a specific part of the body in the center of the stomach. So that's what I will attribute, deep cut in the center of the stomach. So they should also look like whether the child or the person is experiencing any burning sensations right in the center, navel, and just above the navel coming, to the chest. That is where their, the sphincter muscle of the stomach is outgoing food. So maybe they need to look at that. Acupressure point for that is over here. This area, like you pinch it, okay, with both your hands here and see whether there's any pain. So that will, on the left hand, it will take care of your incoming sphincter to the stomach, and your right hand is the outgoing one. Okay, so when they are inflamed, you can have heat and you can have a little bit of cut in the center of your tongue.
All right. The next question is, can numbness in body be caused by a digestive disorder? Anyone who would like to take this?
This is again, it's the same thing, one symptom does not define everything, and
Right.
numbness means something's wrong with the nerves. Now, this can come from many things. Of course, gut can be the reason because nerves are the reason for numbness, and nerves need food, folic acid, B12, they need magnesium to function properly, they need other neurotransmitters to function properly, and everything passes through your gut to get absorbed. So of course, gut can definitely be the reason for your numbness, but it can also come from your posture problems, having a spine problem, having some kind of an injury in that area. So hundreds of reasons. But yes, gut can create if you have a poor digestion and absorption.
Thank you, doctor.
So this I would like to add there, adding some lactobacilli reuteri and a combination of rhamnosus can be very helpful to the patient because this is what we've seen after sequencing. As far as muscular and neurological problems are concerned, these two bacteria can be very helpful to the concerned person.
Thank you. Thank you. So the next question is, I eat fruit early morning, chew well by Vishal Ji, consume no milk. I do eat curd for probiotic, consume no marketed oils. I sleep a little hungry, yet my stool almost daily is loose motions. I can't figure out why.
This is a case where I see very common, and one of the I work with cultures and bacteria, so I'll go targeted here, and I'll tell you exactly what's going on. This is actually a tolerance issue, and this will help if we start adding some Saccharomyces boulardii. And this is going to be, I mean, obviously we have to determine the dose, and then we have to figure out how much of boulardii is going to be needed. But once that is added, and complementary will be the food, of course. We will have to make sure the food is also monitored. The tolerance also has to go up. But adding some Saccharomyces boulardii, it's a yeast. It's not even a bacteria. So that's definitely going to help this person hold on to the, the leaky stool that he's talking about.
So you find you also tell them then in which particular brand you find Saccharomyces boulardii, because
I'll tell you what, I am not doing anything in, I'm actually getting my own cultures from Denmark and New Jersey, because there are different cultures that are, there are different species as well. The probiotic market is largely dominated by FSSAI, because of which there are many people who actually make probiotics available. It's very important to use the right species and the right strain of culture. And what we do here in Bombay is, I particularly do all my research to find out which one was used for clinical trial, and I make it available in active cultures in short bottles. So these are short bottles with active cultures. So 1 spoon of our Saccharomyces boulardii is going to be definitely very helpful.
I would say that they can actually also try another strain, which is commonly, it's a brand. I think it's okay to mention a brand for people.
Yeah. Absolutely.
They can try simple, the Enterogermina, which is available in any pharmacy, which is, I think, Bacillus subtilis, I think. So it helps to take away the bad bacterial growth. And it's easily available in the pharmacies. Try that out first for your loose stools. Take about 2 of these Enterogerminas every day, about 30 minutes after your meal. See if that helps. And if it doesn't help, then you need to go and look for certain foods which are causing sensitivities in your body, which is leading to loose motions. You can do a blood test for finding out there's a food intolerance test and a food allergy test available in most of the labs these days. Get the test and find out which foods you might be allergic to. That would help.
Thank you, Doctor. So, this question is from Naveen J. I have a strong feeling that if I don't walk long, then my whole system starting from digestion goes slow. But there are days when one cannot go out for any reason. What can I do in such a case?
Yoga. Do Surya Namaskar at home.
Sure.
Do some pranayama like Kapalbhati that will absolutely force your gut to move.
Spot running also, spot running, walking.
Or trampoline, get a 1.5 meter home trampolines and start jumping on the trampoline, or kind of like walk, how do you say, hop on the trampoline. That will give you like a walk. It will do the job for you.
All right.
So I would like to add there, to go to this chapter in my book, Treatment for Illnesses, and there is a treatment for constipation, and there are 2-3 different factors. Okay, so one is, now primarily I just want to speak to this person, what's happening with you only after you do a long walk. Okay, so your body is looking to build up heat. Okay, that means inherently your body is a very cool or kapha type body, I think. Okay, so by this walk, your body is generating a little bit of heat that it needs, and that heat is able to start giving the the peristalsis movement to your colon. So now how can you help it otherwise? So in this chapter I said that you can do a bit of pranayam, which is a deep breathing, which I teach in all of my workshops. So it's anyway, I don't want to demo everything, so it's deep breathing. Okay, so for about 20 of those breaths, it starts moving the diaphragm in and up, and it starts generating prana and chi within the body. Okay, after that you can press the colon points over here. So it's just pressing with your thumb. Your entire colon area is from here to here on this hand and on this hand. So you generate prana, then you supply that energy over here. Okay, so it starts sending energy over there. And then there's also a conception vessel meridian point over here. You are pressing it, if you're sitting on the pot or something, just sit and with your two fingers here and here, you just press it for about 1-2 minutes. Okay, and you will see that the energy will start moving in your colon, and it will start, if you do this every day for a week, that cycle will start, it will build its intelligence and start getting its signals. But also we have to understand that these things don't just happen to us. We do something for our body to get this kapha constitution or coldness in the large intestine. So something that will create coldness and lethargy is one is milk and milk products. For those people who have high inflammation in their gut or high degree of IBS, milk is going to cause loose motion. But for those people who don't have high amount of inflammation in their small intestine, milk is going to create more of weight, more of fat, more slowness. So look at having things that are, lighter in nature. I would advise you to reduce your amount. If you're doing too much of wheat and rice, then I would advise so many of my clients to get off wheat completely and replace that with millets. And millets have more fiber. So I would advise you to also do that. In book where I've recommended the diet, of course, first breakfast is fruits, and then if a person feels hungry, then a couple of hours later they can have a millet porridge or a millet roti with vegetables. And I say only semi-polished rice for lunch, and for evening tea, biscuits of millets, and for dinner also millets and some bhaji. So I think if you will see a real good improvement within 1 week's time if you have at least 2 meals or even 1 meal a day of millets. So try that.
All right. Thank you.
I would like to answer one question. I have seen someone asking about salt. Someone asked which salt is better. So basically, it can be sea salt or Himalayan rock salt, either of them, even if sea salt is obtained from cleaner sources, since it is completely seas and oceans are polluted. But these both, even though they are still they are inorganic form. So what I have done is I have fermented the salt. I made biosalt. There is a procedure in my group. Like you have to use either okra slime or fermented rice starch and saturate the salt in that liquid and keep it for 7 days and allow it to ferment. Then you can use that in your cooking. Basically, you are bringing life in that, there is already life, and that microbes will help to break down, make the inorganic into bioavailable form. So by using this salt, liquid salt, it's called as biosalt. So when you use this salt, basically minerals, it's more bioavailable for us. You need not add more salt into your food, and it is also making your food tastier.
All right. Thank you, Shailender. The next question is how hair loss, how to recover, what must improve in body? Not sure if it's related to our discussion.
Yes, it is very much related to discussion. Hair loss for two reasons. One is dry scalp. Okay, so when your scalp is dry, the hair follicles, they do not get enough nutrition, and the dryness starts thinning the hair, and that the hair fall happens. So why would the scalp get dry? It would get dry because somebody has too much of air element in the body. Okay, vayu. So look at if you go on my website to a section called dosha diet, there's a very nice test over there where you can see your kapha pith vayu balance. Okay, that means do you have too much of air element? Then there's a compensating diet which is called the vata pacifying diet. So one reason for that would be hair loss would be that your air in the body goes high. Air in the body goes high when people have too much of salt in their diet, too much of sour food, too much of vinegar based food. And of course, if you've got chronic stress and relationship problems and office deadlines that are always on your mind, there's a lot of thinking that goes on. And there also you'll have too much of air in your head. That's why the Western term, airhead. People with a lot of air in their head, they have a lot of thoughts and they talk a lot. So that's also another symptom of having too much vayu in the body. Person will not recognize them, but the person in the room or some friend will say, he talks excessively. So that's one reason, dry scalp and just falling off. The immediate solution, I mean temporary solution, is that you start, putting some cold pressed coconut oil on your fingers and massaging your scalp to bring in some humidity. But that's not the long term, because you'll be doing that for the rest of your life. So yeah, so reduce your salt intake, sour foods, vinegar based foods. Another reason for hair fall will be, again, inflamed small intestine and inflamed colon. I've seen that happen for many cases. Okay, so bring down heat in the digestive system as well.
Thank you, Darryl.
Because we have to understand one simple principle: when there's heat, right, you take a vessel of water and you keep it on the gas without a flame, it's going to be there after 15 days as well. But the moment you put on the flame, it thins out the water element. So these things are connected. High heat in the digestive system, that heat rises through the body, creating dryness over here.
Thank you.
The reason that actually goes for hair fall, which is common, is we all know dandruff, right? The fungal infection of the scalp. And what I have seen in many cases is basically either, of course, you have to change your diet to treat the fungal infection. It's very important. In my own experience for myself, I have seen once I shifted myself and I took completely out certain foods that were really reacting in my system, my hair fall almost completely stopped. Within a month, no hair fall left at all once I took out wheat from my diet completely. So every person reacts to a different food. So you take out certain foods, your hair fall may just completely stop, because there's inflammation in the scalp caused by certain foods, which comes from the inflammation in the gut. The other is directly treating the scalp also helps by, you treat the fungus or by treating it, you use coconut oil, as you said, and coconut is antifungal. And I ask my patients to mix certain other things inside, like you take castor oil, I use inozen oil. So you mix certain things and apply on your head. That also really helps to remove the hair fall. So you have to combine diet is very important when you do anything, including
Yes.
hair.
Thank you.
I would like to add additional advice to using cold pressed, coconut oil, or for that, matter, any other oil. People have this funny notion that they should put oil only before going to a bath. So they put the oil in the hair before going to the bath. Then they go for the bath and they shampoo it all out. And that's the worst part. I don't have a head bath daily, because that doesn't actually happen in nature. Every day that you shampoo your hair, you're drying out the scalp completely. Okay, so for people who want that cold pressed oil to kill their bacteria and they want nourishment for the scalp, right? They should be shampooing their hair, coming out, drying it a bit, and before it gets too dry, they should be not. You don't have to oil your hair. You have to oil your scalp. Okay, so just put the oil at the tips and run it on your scalp and let that be there for the whole day. Just a little bit of it to moisturize. I've seen people, reverse this fungal bacteria in the hair, which is dandruff. And yeah, so I just wanted to put that in there.
Thank you. Next question is, does fermented food affect your bone density? From Anu in the chat.
I actually have seen that in my patients. If they are taking too much of kombucha or if they are drinking too much of fermented foods, it actually can eventually make your body acidic, and the body needs calcium as a buffer, and it can create osteoporosis. Yes, I have seen patients with kidney stones very often when they were drinking kombucha left and right, like whole day they are drinking a whole liter of kombucha or whatever. Every time they want to drink something, they are drinking kombucha. It will do it. There has to be a balance in everything. Even if with fermented foods, they have to be balanced, because ultimately fermented food is acidic. It's not alkaline. You have to create a balance.
I'll add to that. I make a lot of fermented foods, and I'll add to what Dr. Shikha said. She's totally correct on that. We don't recommend more than 10 to 15 kombuchas through the month, and not more than 200, maybe 100 ml a day, which is probably what is needed for your body. And people will go through half a liter and 1 liter, which will obviously make it over acidic. So that balance in terms of your nutrition as well as your fermented food is very, very important. Not more than 1 to 2 spoons of sauerkraut or kimchi, and that too, it has to be altered. It has to be done rightly. Correct.
And what I make is partial fermentations, like I don't turn it into vinegary. Yeah, it's like buttermilk. Like my fermentation methods, which I do is like buttermilks. So if you are having that, then it will not be a problem. Yes, if it is too much fermented, then definitely it will affect the bone density.
Thank you. Thank you, Shailender. Next question is, I have extreme dryness in palms and soles. Is it related to the digestive system? How can I find the cause? Anyone would like to take this? By Rohit.
Yeah, of course, the first thing would be, are you, getting enough oils in your body? Are you eating, at least a handful of nuts in a day to give you the, omega-6, omega-3 oils? Um, and that also I say, it should be had in the evening, maybe 3 to 4, not first thing in the morning. First thing in the morning is fruits and lighter foods. Um, so that's the first thing, have your regular amount of uh, nuts. And the other thing could be dryness again, could be because of heat in the body. So look at that again. If you're having, too much of spicy food, you can reduce it a bit and see whether it helps you.
Thank you. A long question to that. Can one do the liver cleanse without supervision if patient is generally healthy? And if so, how often at what intervals?
So yes, liver cleanse is mentioned in my book. And what I have been recommending to people who come to my workshop is first, because you're going to, with the liver cleanse, you're going to put a little bit of stress on your liver and your gallbladder. People with known conditions, they should first strengthen their liver and gallbladder. That's why I teach acupressure. So I said at least 15 days of acupressure you do on your liver points, on your gallbladder points, strengthen it. That means if your performance of your liver and your gallbladder was somewhere here, after about 15 days of acupressure for them, they will be operating somewhere here, and then it's in a much stronger position to do the cleanse. So cleanse can be done. An okay interval is twice a year. People get over enthusiastic and they keep doing it every 3 months. That much is not required. So for an absolutely healthy person, I would say a liver cleanse even once in 2 years is fine. But if you have some conditions, and as explained in my book in that chapter, there are indicators of when you should do a liver cleanse. High acidity is one reason to do it. Then on average, I would say just twice a year. And another caution is uh, because it uses Epsom salts to flush your entire system. So look at your body weight. What I mentioned in my book is 80 grams for a 75 kg person in 800 ml water. So if you are 60 kgs, then please drop the Epsom salts also down to about 60 or max 65 grams. Um, and you will get this at a pharmaceutical store. They normally come in 20-gram packets, so it's easy to take half portion and see, okay, this is 10 grams, all of that. Because if you do too much of Epsom salt, then you'll have a lot of diarrhea, and it will be quite a deep cleanse. Some people like that, but generally people who are overweight, they would like to see a good thorough purge, and people who are underweight, they do not want to see too much of a purge. So that's the only caution um, about the Epsom salt quantity. The rest of the orange juice and extra virgin olive oil, that can remain the same. For children, I mean, I don't advise for really young children, but for somebody who's 8, 10, 12 years, you can proportionally reduce all the amount.
One thing I have noticed is when you do a liver cleanse, once somebody engages into a liver cleanse, they need to make sure that the gut is clean and the channel for elimination is open, because whatever is going to be coming out of liver is going to go through your colon, through your small intestine, then through your colon. So people who directly indulge into a liver cleanse without making sure that they have first taken some enemas or they have some kind of a cleanse so that the bowel is clean, they end up with a lot of detox reactions during liver cleanse. And post liver cleanse, whatever bacteria or parasites come out of the liver, then they take hold in the stomach and then end up with gas and bloating and digestive issues. So these people have to, everybody who does a liver cleanse should really work on the gut first.
Yes.
Yes, I would agree with that. And also add another point. In my book, there's an entire protocol and sequence. So it starts with first you need to do the kidney cleanse, then you do the a colon cleanse. And I advise, the retained coffee enema. And between these, just keep a gap of 3 days. So first, it's the kidney cleanse, maybe with the tea leaves, which is a long and deep kidney cleanse, which dissolves kidney stones and all of that. That's 14 days. Then you take a 3-day break. Then you do a retained coffee enema, maybe for 2 mornings in a row. Then you take a day of break of 3 days. This 3-day break is for your organs to recalibrate, because every organ has got relationship parameters with all the other organs of the body and with the blood system. So when you do a cleanse, you got to give it 3 days a gap, because they will recalibrate their new equations with everything else. Okay, so the colon will recalibrate with equation with the, for example, the energy with the kidney and all of that. So after 2 days of the retained coffee enema, then your colon also is done a cleanse, and that's when you can go for a liver cleanse. And like Dr. Shikha mentioned, uh, the liver cleanse does bring out a lot of rubbish from the system, and then finally after that, keep a day or two gap, and then you can again do a kidney cleanse, which is a shorter cleanse, maybe using coriander or parsley leaves. And so that's a nice sequence to do it in a proper way.
Thank you, Darryl. Next question is the same. Is sometimes I react to wheat, sometimes it's totally fine. What to do?
Play extra safe and get it out of your life.
Who are,
Looking at it at a very deep level, I've been reading some books in the past. This is almost 10 years back. I've looked at the research. There are books that tell you that even rice and wheat are totally not required for the human body. But that's because they go into some research and they find certain properties, and they're so shocked that they make a big noise of it. But I go for balance and what nature provides. So a person who people have challenged me for about 3 years that when I said I'm going to stop completely eating rice and wheat, they said, how are you going to get your complex carbs? So I said, well, I'm going to have millets, and I'm going to have the dals and the beans and the peas and the nuts and all of those things. And I did absolutely fine. I had no rice or wheat for 3 years. Okay. So yes, so if you are having a problem with this is written in my book, gluten also is a harsh protein. Of course, it does not. Those people who have strong, intestine and colon, 10 or 14 chapatis, nothing is going to happen to them. But once you have an inflamed system, and the inflamed system in the history of all my patients, I take it right from the time they were born. Okay, anybody who is having a wheat problem, they have had pylori, they've had some infection, they've had gastroenteritis, they've had loose motions, or either they had typhoid or cholera or jaundice, and in the process of healing those, they took antibiotics, and those antibiotics completely damaged their gut biology and brought in inflammation into the intestines. And so those people have inflamed intestines, so the wheat protein is going to cut them. Okay, they are going to have a problem. So you'll see the situation that the husband is doing absolutely fine, but the wife, even 2 chapatis, she says, no, I can't do it, I don't think wheat is for me. So right now, listen to your body, stop taking the wheat, and get into the proper protocols to heal your gut, bring down the heat, and have better digestion, get better gut bacteria, and then probably after it takes some time, maybe it'll take you 6 months, okay, but then you start introducing maybe one or two kind of chapatis, and you'll see that your body handles it much better.
Right, thank you. Next question is, this has come before, best water filtration systems. ROs are environmentally wasteful and produce tasteless water.
I actually see the problem with the water systems is actually, if we just drink boiling water, is that these days our water is full of arsenic. There's a lot of heavy metals in the water, apart from microbes and chlorine. And microbes and chlorine you can get rid of by boiling, but how do you get rid of heavy metals, arsenic, which is major reason for diabetes in India, which comes from well water. So somewhere RO helps to remove everything, but then it leaches out everything from the water. So what I advise my patients is something like this. Since I want them to remove, a lot of patients need heavy metals removed from the system. I advise them, if you are using an RO, which is recommended in certain areas in certain areas you test the water, you may not need it, but certain areas you do. Where you do, and you use an RO, you have an alkalizing, let's say an alkalizing pitcher next, where you fill your RO water in it and let the pH of your water rise. And then you can put a pinch of pink salt into your water to add the minerals back. And in fact, I have treated a patient who said to me that he has cramps all the time and he's always thirsty. He was drinking like 6 liters of water, but he was always thirsty and he had cramps. So it was very easy to know, and he was drinking RO water. And I said, okay, so your problem is you're not getting enough minerals that retains the water in your body and makes you feel hydrated. So only thing I told him was, you are going to drink only 2.5 liters max in a day. And in every glass of water, you're going to add a very tiny pinch of salt. His cramps left and he was not dehydrated anymore. It actually took him just a week to recover from dehydration by adding a pinch of pink salt. Now, this salt does not make your water salty. It actually makes it sweet. The RO water is bland. You add a pinch of pink salt, the water tastes sweet.
Thank you.
That's what I practically recommend to people.
So what I recommend is I make alkaline water from wood ash. It can be cow dung ash if people are preferring, but it should be diversified grazed cattle dung. But I recommend like hardwood ash, sieve it finely and mix it with 4 times water in a mud pot or a glass container, keeping a tap above the ash level. Then you will get the alkaline water, which is very high in alkaline. You have to just add 10 ml in 1 liter of water. That will add back the minerals in RO water. But more efficient method, what I suggest is keeping the, if it is tap water, just keep the water in an open air, keeping tap about 10% from the base, adding nirmali seed and turmeric root, and you can add some herbs like bael or tulsi and keep it covered with a cloth or a mesh for 24 hours. It will sun charge and moon charge, and it will bring nirmali seed. If you don't get access to nirmali seed, you can also add moringa seed kernels, which will act like coagulation in water, like coagulant properties. So it will pull the heavy thing in the water, it will pull it down. Or if it is really having water, if it has really heavy metals, you can add microbial cultures, which I make. So which I keep sharing in my documents. So if you add culture, even the microbes will help to break down those heavy metals and they will bring them down. Or if you can make a setup of a pond, like just add lotus plants, buckwheat and like canna, like whatever water plants you have with fishes, snails, and bring an ecosystem on your terrace in a mud container, preferably, or next option is cement tank. So this ecosystem will completely break down the hardness in the water. Even if you put very hard water into that ecosystem, that water will become very soft. So this is what I keep recommending, these 3 methods for my people.
Thank you, Shailender. The next question is how to use fasting to cure the gut.
Fasting is all right. It won't cure the gut. It will only help you. It won't really cure your gut. You need to first figure out what's going on. Fasting will only give you a little bit of comfort for a certain time. But that's about it. Too much of fasting is not really going to help you fix your gut problems. Darryl, please fill it.
So I was agreeing on that part. Fasting will only pause and give your gut that has been working and digesting food and getting inflamed in the process, it'll give it a break. Okay, so it will cool down for some time. But obviously you need nutrition coming in again, so you have to get over your fast and start putting food again. So when you start putting food again, remember, don't put the toxic food in. Put foods, if you are inflamed and your gut is inflamed, put in cooling foods, put in alkaline foods. And if you're very sensitive, then I would, because that has happened to some of my gut patients, they're so sensitive that even raw foods with a little bit of, bacteria, there's some bad bacteria, then they get loosies. So then I put them on, although the nutrient level is much lesser for cooked vegetables, I will tell them to go on a completely cooked vegetable diet for about a week till their system heals a bit, and then after that, slowly they can start introducing salads in again. Um, in the salads, I say the lettuce leaves, the leafy salads are not so easy to clean unless you're going to put it in potassium permanganate water, or you're going to do salt water, or something else, or highly alkaline water. Um, but that, of course, is going to kill the good and bad bacteria. So you won't get any, at least you won't get infected bacteria.
All right. Thank you. I think that's all we have time for. We've touched 8 p.m. I would like to thank our panelists, first of all, Shailender, Abhishek, Dr. Shikha, Darryl, for a very interesting session. There were a lot of questions which got answered today. And I would like to thank you, our attendees, for joining us. And if you all had certain questions which weren't answered, I would request you to reach out to our panelists offline and get your answers, consultation. Thank you, everybody.